And so we are once again joined by Ms. Sylvia Lemus from the County of Sonoma. And again, you always bring us a lot of information. Sometimes it's even challenging to cover all of it.
Mhm.
But I'm wondering if you can start by letting us know what the numbers look like nowadays here in Sonoma County.
Yes, Rafael, we now have a total of 9,569 confirmed cases of COVID here in Sonoma County, which in the last 24 hours is 75 cases additional from the last 24 hours. We have, unfortunately, a total of 136 deaths in Sonoma County. There has been no additional deaths in the last 24 hours. And we have completed a total of 215,078 COVID tests have been completed in Sonoma County. And we're still in the purple stage. And so, we can talk about that after too.
Definitely, I think it's important to get an idea on the numbers. And so I think that's important to talk about that. I think it's the state set a specific guidelines, and
Mhm,
we have been in the purple for a long time. We want to
mhm,
go to the red, and then, there's more
mhm,
benefits, and people
mhm,
want to open up their businesses. People want to get back to some form of normal.
mhm,
But again, I see that there are a lot of individuals who just refuse to follow the expectations, the rules, the laws. And so, what can you tell us about how well are we doing, or
mhm.
how bad are we doing with the state guidelines?
Yes. As you know, like I shared, we're still in the purple tier. We're still in the purple tier. I know it's very frustrating to a lot of people. We want to move into the red tier, which is less restrictive. Um, but the reasons that we're still in the purple tier, let me share some of the information, is that our new daily case rate per 100,000 people is 10.2, but it needs to be less than 7 for us to move into the less restrictive tier. And this is like an adjusted rate that we get from the state for every 100,000 people. So that's the metric that's keeping us from getting to the red tier. Because, for as an example, our test positive rate is 5.2%, which it must be lower than 8%. So we are doing well in our test positivity. It's 5.2%. And the other metric that we use is the equity metric. So the equity metric is in certain low-income communities out in the county that we measure. So that one is at 8.9%. And the metric must be lower than 8% in order for us to move to the less restrictive tier. But even at 8.9 is very close to the 8%. So I think that the one that's affecting us right now is the daily case rate per 100,000. But we're also doing more testing, and the state is, making adjustments as we go along. So we hope as we do more testing, both positive and negative results, that we'll be able to kind of adjust that number so that it gets down into we're able to move into the red tier. So in order to move into the red tier, there's different ways. One is that the state benchmarks for all three metrics that I mentioned have to be met for 2 weeks, or the test positive benchmark and we have to have an equity metric less than 5% for 2 weeks, even if the case rate is still above the benchmark. So there's different ways of getting there, but we're still not quite, meeting the metrics that we need to get there. And if people want more information, they can go to the state of California's Blueprint for Safer Economy website, and they'll have more information about that as well.
And again, that is important information. We need to really get past this. I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do, and I don't necessarily care. Or, we are hearing a lot about people who are still having parties with 40 and 50 people, and there's no masks, there's closeness,
Mhm.
there's no 6 feet or 10 feet or whatever in distance. So again, we are just in being negligent, and I know it's not everybody, so I want
Mhm.
to clarify that as well, because those people who are following the rules because they want to have some normalcy are frustrated. But we
Mhm.
also have to report when businesses are not following the rules,
Mhm.
when people are not following the rules, so that this is the only way. Some individuals will only learn in that manner when there are
Mhm.
consequences like that. And so, talk to us about Day of the Dead and Halloween.
Mhm.
Specifically Halloween, it's a huge event that happens every
Yes.
year. People go to their neighborhoods, door to door. What is
Mhm.
the county, what is the state telling us about what should we be doing?
Yes. Halloween, yes, it's a Saturday, and traditionally, a lot of the activities that are come with Halloween are pose a high risk for COVID transmission. So there are other ways that we're recommending that people can still enjoy and have a safe Halloween. For Halloween, for example, we're recommending that people have virtual costume or pumpkin carving parties or contests online. That's one thing people could do. They can create a haunted house or something like that in their household. Or even we've even heard of some people having like drive-through haunted houses where either churches or businesses can kind of have a place where they have haunted houses and people can drive through, so just kind of creative ways of kind of having that, maybe some scary movie nights with Halloween themed food, um, just a variety of different things. We're concerned because traditionally, when you go door to door trick or treating, there's gonna be carloads of people. There's children on the sidewalks and the streets walking with their families, and you can't always guarantee that people that answer the doors when you knock that they're gonna have a mask on. So there's a lot of dangers, in the traditional Halloween activities. So we're just asking people to be creative and try to come up with other alternative ways of celebrating Halloween.
And that brings us to the next thing, and that is, and again, it's the same thing for Day of the Dead. I know that people tend to
Mhm.
gather, they go to people's homes, they either look at each other's type of, or visit to look at people's ofrendas and all of the
Mhm.
stuff. But again, we need to be respectful, send pictures maybe of
Mhm.
yours, and that way other people can enjoy it, admire it, comment on it, rather
Yes.
than again doing what a lot
Uh-huh.
of people usually do, which is go visit, share a meal. And
Mhm.
again, the state is still limiting the number of people that should be gathering. Moving on to the CARES funds,
Mhm.
what can you tell us about that? That was good funding, but I'm not sure
Yes.
that everybody knows exactly what the
Yes.
requirements are or who
Yeah.
qualifies.
Yeah. So the CARES funding is a really good program of a lot of money that we got from federal government, and so the county decided to help low-income renters and landlords with the money. So I know that a lot of them were impacted with COVID, and they lost work, they weren't able to pay their rent. The landlords weren't able to receive rent for a long time frame. So this funding really could help almost 1,000 households here in Sonoma County, depending on how much is needed per household. Um, so residents can receive up to $6,000 for 6 months of rental assistance, which can be used for back payment of rent and utilities. But they have to kind of prove and apply and prove that they weren't able to pay rent or they didn't receive rent during a time frame. Um, and the way that they can apply, we're working with different nonprofits, and there's 4 different nonprofits that we are working with. So the first one in West County, we have West County Community Services. Their number is 707-823-1640. And so you can contact them or go online and they'll have information how to apply for CARES funding for low income renters and landlords. And also we have Friends in Sonoma Helping. Their number is 707-996-0111. We have in Petaluma People Services. They can be contacted at 707-765-8488, or Community Action Partnership. Their number is 707-544-6911. Now you can go to their websites or you can call them and get information on CARES funding for low-income renters and landlords. And there's money available. So we want people that were affected by COVID and couldn't pay their rent or didn't receive rent from their tenants to please contact and see if you qualify for this rental assistance. It also helps for rental and utilities. Um, so yeah, call them because this money is available for them. And anyway, so hope people contact them and get help. Mhm.
Definitely. I think it's important. I think people are overwhelmed trying to figure out how to make their rent payments, but at the same time, they don't
Mhm.
know, and sometimes they don't take the first step.
Yes.
And then, in regards to testing, again, getting back to testing, we talked about this last week about the fact that the government, the
Mhm.
county, has been working with the state of California to increase the number of people who can get tested in the county. Again, this is about moving us out of purple and into
Yeah.
red.
Mhm.
Can you tell us more about that, and what efforts are being done to get as many people as possible tested?
Yes. So last Tuesday, I believe the Board of Supervisors approved an enhanced strategy around COVID-19, which almost tripled. I thought it had doubled, but it actually tripled the testing. So now from Monday through Saturday, we're going to have testing at different locations around the county, and it'll be like at the same place every day of the week. For example, today's Thursday. Today we had testing at the Cloverdale Plaza and at the Roseland Library. So every Thursday you can expect that they'll be testing at the same place, the same time during the week. So that's something new that we're doing. And in addition to that, on Saturdays we'll have testing at different locations, and you can call the number to find out which places are available on Saturday, because on Saturdays they might rotate locations. But the number to call, and you may also want to call to make an appointment or to find out if you need an appointment, because sometimes they may fill up. For example, we just got an email earlier that Roseland filled up earlier today. And so even though it was open until 4 o'clock today, they filled up early. So the number to call is 565-4667. And in addition to all this testing, we also have um, testing that we do at the Jockey Club at the fairgrounds, and also in Windsor on Bluebird Drive in Windsor. But if you call those numbers, they'll make you an appointment for any of those places. So we're really, really pushing the testing. And what we're doing now is for people that live in those census tracts we identified around the community. If they go to SoCo Emergency, there's a map, and I don't know if it's that easy to find. We just had a meeting today, and we're trying to find a way people can access it easily. But you can put in your address, and it'll tell you if you live in one of those tracts, census tracts. Because to encourage testing, we're offering $30 gift cards for people that live in those communities. And in addition, if your test comes back positive, we are offering, I believe it's $1,216 to help you if you're a low-income resident in one of those communities, so you can isolate safely and not worry about bills and different things and losing your income. But we're just doing as much as we can to help the community by providing hotel vouchers for different places so people can isolate safely away from their families. So those are just some of the things that we're doing, but you're going to see increased communications around this as well.
And again, it's important that people pay
Mhm.
attention. It's important that people
Mhm.
remember, as we have said many times, 4 out of 10 people who, eventually are found out to have COVID, 4 out of 10 don't have
Mhm.
any symptoms. So then they don't know that they have had the virus, or
Mhm.
possibly that they have been, sharing the
Mhm.
virus with other people. And so it's
Mhm.
essential that we all get tested. Um,
Yes.
and so this brings me to schools. There are rumors here and there about
Mhm.
schools reopening soon. Is
Yeah.
there any evidence to this?
There has been a lot of questions and a lot of frustration about the schools not open for regular instruction here in Sonoma County. And so, some information I want to share is that the color tier system, the red, purple, the color tier system that the state establishes also establishes we can when schools can open based on the community spread of COVID in the community. So the school reopenings are really based on the California blueprint for the safer economy, and the purple tier counties, which we're in, can't open for regular classes unless we get a special permission from the state. Um, and to get that permission from the state, so you probably have been hearing that some schools have opened, but these are schools that met certain conditions and got an exemption or a waiver from the state to be able to open. A lot of them are smaller schools, and they have to. Let me give you some example. Once we do open, once we do get into the red tier, we have to, for example, once we get into the red tier, we have to wait 2 weeks until they say, yes, you're now officially in a red tier. And then for schools to reopen, we have to wait for another 2 weeks. So it's 4 weeks from when we get into the red tier, just to make sure that we're holding our red tier status before schools can open. And then once schools open, we have to have a plan. The schools have to have a plan in place, which includes having the right safety equipment, personal protective equipment for staffing, testing, a system to test staff regularly, and a system to contact trace. So the schools have to have a plan that includes all these different elements in order for them to open safely. And so that's going to be very difficult, and the ones that have opened are smaller schools that were able to provide a lot of this now. And so that's why you're hearing that some smaller schools were able to open. So this may mean that not all schools will open at the same time, because it all depends on the plans that they can put together to meet these requirements. So we recommend that people talk to their school districts to find out where they are on their plan, and how is their planning. So once we are in the red, what's the reopening going to look like? And again, as a reminder, we can all do our part, as a community to wear our masks and keep the social distance so that we can move along where we need to be, especially for our schools and our students.
Definitely. And then if we could just cover two more items that are of great importance.
Mhm.
One is the voting. Voting
Mm-hmm.
starts this Saturday, which is interesting. We
Mm-hmm.
usually do it one day. Now
Mm-hmm.
we are doing it for several days, and
Mm-hmm.
Saturday it's a good opportunity since some individuals have the opportunity to not have to go to work, so they can
Mm-hmm.
go and vote. Um, and also, people with their ballots, should they mail them in? Should they turn
Mm-hmm.
them in into these
Yeah.
boxes? What do you recommend?
Yes, Rafael, it is time to think. If you haven't voted yet, it's really time to get your plan now. So if you mail your ballot, you have to make sure that it's postmarked on or before the 3rd. And I wouldn't chance it. I would mail it before if you're going to mail it because it needs to be postmarked. But the best thing is if you have an opportunity to drop it off at we have secure official um, ballot boxes, secure ballot boxes around the county. So there's about 20 of them that are around the county, and you can go on the county website for the registrar of voters and you can see where the locations are. But if you received a mail ballot, there was a list in there that showed you
Hmm.
that showed where all the secure ballot boxes for the county are. So you can drop it off at one of those, or you can go to the registrar of voters down at the county buildings, county center, and you can drop it off the registrar of voters. And you can also drop it off at any of the in-person voting that starts this Saturday. So this Saturday through Tuesday is in-person voting for those that want to vote in person. So the times are a little different. I think starting from Saturday through Monday, it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we have 30 locations around the whole county. So again, you can find those locations online, or I think it was also included in the ballot that you received in the mail.
Hmm.
So there's 30 locations throughout the county. It'll be open from 9 to 5 starting on Saturday. And on Tuesday, election day, it'll be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So there's so many opportunities right now to get your ballot in to go vote in person. So just make sure that you talk to everyone and make sure that if they haven't voted, that they have a lot of options so that they don't miss out on this voting, which is very important.
Definitely. Again, as I've said many times, this time, for those of you who can vote, vote as if your life depends on it, because it does.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Hmm.
And then the last thing we want to talk about is, again, we have a new lifestyle, and that includes COVID for
Hmm.
now, and that includes the fires. And we've been having fires in Sonoma County since 2017. We got lucky, and people have been taking care of our community because we had some winds that were stronger this last week, or this week actually, than in 2017. If there had been a fire somewhere,
Hmm.
it would have been much more challenging for our
Hmm.
community. But because of those fires, we've been hearing that there are perhaps food stamps of some type for
Yes.
people who were affected by this. What do you know?
Yes, there is a program that's open right now, and it's only open through November 5th. It's called the Disaster CalFresh Food Benefits. And so this is for people who either lived or worked in Sonoma County on August 14th. And if they lost food or they had expenses because of the fires, then they may be eligible to receive these food benefits. So to apply, they would call this number from now through November 5th. The number is 877-847-3663. So they call that number and they take some basic information, and then a caseworker will call you back to get more of your application information to see if you qualify. And then they'll let you know if you qualify and let you know where you can pick up it's an EBT card, which is like a debit card to
Hmm.
purchase food. So that program is only going through November 5th. So call that number 877-847-3663. If you do need immediate food right now, we ask if you can call 211 and they can give you a list of agencies that can help you.
Definitely. And I think we've covered a lot of information. I'm always
Hmm.
grateful. I also know that Dr. Mays did a video
Hmm.
about some of the stuff and other information. Can you tell us where people can find that information, both in English and in Spanish?
Yes, so we record the video, Dr. Mace's video every week. If people go to our County of Sonoma Facebook page, they can find a link to Dr. Mace's video, and it's available in Spanish and English. And in Spanish, we also have a YouTube channel for the County of Sonoma, and all of our Spanish videos from Dr. Mace are also listed on there as well.
Definitely. And with that, again, I want to thank you for taking the time and being here with me and our community, of course. And I look forward to our conversation next Thursday, next week on Thursday at
Mhm.
5 p.m. Again, thank you
Okay.
to Miss Sylvia Lemus for always taking the
Thank
time,
you.
taking care of us. And again, look forward to that conversation. Take
Thank you,
care.
Rafael. Take care. Have a good week. Bye bye.